still a good dog. It's not her fault.
Well, it was. Good morning. I'm Sherry Williams, President and CEO of Prevent Blindness, the Ohio affiliate. I would like to thank everybody for being here today and expressing an interest in how we can all work together to make this year's 4th of July celebration safer for all Ohioans. I'm here today to welcome you on behalf of the Ohio Fireworks Safety Coalition. The coalition is a volunteer partnership of nearly 50 statewide and regional organizations that all care about public health, injury, fire prevention, and safety. We care about backyard fireworks safety because there were 9,100 serious injuries last year, including 1,729 that affected the eye. I would like to recognize the Ohio Fireworks Safety Coalition members in attendance here today. We have Cindy Penn. Why don't you just give a wave from the Ohio Department of Health Save Our Site Fund. We have also Jeff Thurston from the Central Ohio Lions Eye Bank. We have Laura Datner from Nationwide Children's Hospital. And did I miss anybody who has just come in from one of the coalition organizations? If so, raise your hand and I'll call you out. I would also like to recognize the Prevent Blindness board members that are here today. And if you could just give a wave to Kyle Merkel in the back there. And we have Jeff Henderson. Jeff, did I miss any board members? I don't want to miss any board members, they're my boss. We also have several presenters today who will talk about the various aspects of fireworks safety. Then we will open the floor to questions at the end. I'd like to first introduce Dr. Sarah Denny, who is a primary care pediatrician at Nationwide Children's Hospital and co-chair of the Committee on Injury, Violence, and Poison Prevention for the Ohio chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics. Please welcome Dr. Denny, who will share her knowledge with us on the high level of injuries suffered by children caused by backyard fireworks. Dr. Denny?
Good morning. As Sherry said, my name is Sarah Denny. I work at Nationwide Children's Hospital in the primary care division. My area of interest is in injury prevention, and I've served on the executive committee for the Council on Injury, Violence, and Poison Prevention for the American Academy of Pediatrics for the past 6 years. And I'm involved locally at many injury prevention initiatives through the Ohio chapter of the AAP. So every year around the month of July, I am asked to either speak at an event around injuries or write something about firework injuries. And so every year I turn to the Consumer Product Safety Commission Fireworks Annual Report to look at all of the latest data and the injuries and the deaths associated with fireworks. And every year I am heartbroken at the burns, the amputations, and the deaths associated with fireworks. So in 2018, CPSC reported that fireworks were involved in an estimated 9,100 injuries treated in U.S. emergency departments. Those are the ones that are treated, not including the ones that don't even present for medical care. 44% of those injuries were burns, and children younger than 15 years of age accounted for 36% of these emergency department visits. When I'm reading these reports of fireworks-related injuries, it's often the innocent bystanders who are the ones that are hurt. So the 2-year-old whose sundress caught on fire when her cousin was setting off bottle rockets and the can tipped over and the bottle rockets hit her dress. The 9-month-old baby girl with burns to her face, her chest, and her legs when a lit firework exploded in her lap. The 4-year-old girl who was killed by sparklers lit by her dad. The list goes on and on and on, and it's every single year. The bottom line is there's no safe way to use backyard fireworks. Every type of legally available consumer firework has been associated with a serious injury or death. In 2006, Nationwide Children's Hospital published a study where they looked at consumer fireworks-related injuries in children in the United States. The study included 85,000 children over a study span of 14 years. And one of the really important findings they found in this study was that almost 1/4 of the kids who were injured in this study were just innocent bystanders. They weren't even involved in shooting off the fireworks. They were just simply watching and were innocent bystanders. They also disproportionately accounted for 1/3 of those requiring admission to the hospital. So what that tells us is that those kids are getting more severely injured. Simply being around someone who's using fireworks places children at increased risk of injury. And this really dispels that myth that it's safe for a child to watch as long as a parent is the one handling the backyard fireworks. Many parents often believe that these products can be used safely, or that the smaller fireworks such as bottle rockets or sparklers are fun and safe. However, we know that bottle rockets cause almost 60% of firework-related eye injuries and are the most common cause of firework-related structure fires. When we're talking about sparklers, those burn at over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which can result in an instant burn and can also ignite clothing. When we think about sparklers and we think about little kids on the 4th of July, we know that 2/3 of sparkler-related injuries are among our youngest kids less than 5 years of age. So close supervision is not enough. We can't just say, well, dad's out there, he's watching them. That's not enough. It's not going to prevent the injuries that we're seeing related to fireworks. Private use of fireworks is unsafe under any conditions. So in summary, let me just conclude by saying fireworks are associated with serious injury, especially in the pediatric age group. These injuries can and do often occur in children who are simply bystanders, and adult supervision is not enough to prevent these injuries. We want families to enjoy the holidays, but we want them to enjoy the 4th of July at public displays conducted by professionals rather than purchasing fireworks for use in their private homes. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Denny. Now I'll turn the podium over to Kay Persinger, who is the director of the Franklin County Animal Care and Control Dog Shelter. Kay.
Good morning. Hello, my name is Kay Persinger, and I have worked exclusively in animal welfare for the past 8 years. I am a retired law enforcement officer of over 30 years. And this backyard fireworks, I found a very interesting statistic when I ran them just here in Franklin County, that when it's something that's advertised, like red, white, and boom, more people are prepared. So therefore they lock their dogs up, they secure them, and we don't pick up as many strays. The day after, when they're not announced, the backyard fireworks, is when our stray count goes up and almost doubles. First day of intake for any animal is approximately between $100 and $150 per dog, just for the first day. That is if the dog doesn't have any injuries related to maybe a traffic accident or being injured by the fireworks. Also, dog bites go up because we do have stray dogs that are out running scared, and people see them and people try to do what they think is the right thing, pick up the dog to bring it in and make it safe. In the meantime, they're picking up the scared dog and getting injured in the process. So with that said, I just want you to keep in mind also that it's also very dangerous for the dog's hearing. Their hearing is a lot more sensitive than people. Therefore, even people with the best intentions to put their dog in the backyard secured, dogs will dig under, go over, and go through just to escape. So thank you for having me.
It's amazing, and you can see by some of the posters lining the wall over there that there are many innocent victims of backyard fireworks that we maybe don't think of, like our animals, our pets, like veterans. So those are also some of the innocent bystanders that are affected. So thank you, Kay, for sharing your testimony about the work that you do and the customer base that's affected that you so well serve. Next up is a new good friend of mine. His name is Eric Rathburn, and he is a survivor of a backyard firework injury and can attest to how unpredictable and life-changing the fireworks injury and backyard fireworks can be on someone's life. So Eric, please join me at the podium.
Hello, and like she said, my name is Eric Rathburn. I was one of the innocent bystanders. I also went to the emergency room, and it was an eye injury. I went to a friend's barbecue. They were doing smoked ribs. The main reason to go was for the smoked ribs. So we were all hanging out all day long and having a good time. And then a few of my friends also wanted to shoot off some fireworks. And there was a misfire. One went between the houses. One went another way, and then one shot through the crowd, and all of a sudden I'm on my back. It hit me in the glasses. Luckily, I do wear shatterproof lenses. I've always had those myself, but it still broke the lens in half. The lens is what cut my eye, and then I had surgery the following day, and I was in the hospital for about 2 days, and it took about 3.5 months to 4 months to recover. I do drive now. I'm able to do every function with just the one eye, but it's the eye that was damaged is like looking through a very soapy window that's very bright out. And also what I have is a lot of light sensitivity, so I'm always wearing sunglasses. I don't get outside as much as I used to because of the brightness of the sun. And one of the things is I learned a lot from the doctors after the fact is I was really lucky that the ball of fire actually bounced off my glasses, because they say if I wasn't wearing glasses, it might have just stuck there and blown up in my face. So when it comes down to it, I was very lucky. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. And I think one of the things that you told me that I keep thinking about over and over and over again is that you were standing and watching the display, and there was a friend who was pregnant that was sitting in a lawn chair that was feeling uncomfortable being a part of this party and wanted to go away from the fireworks, so she went into the house and you took her chair. So she would have been sitting in that very exact spot that you were injured in. And that just is sort of haunting to me when you shared that with me. That's something I thought over and over again about. So thank you so much for sharing your moving testimony. You've heard from speakers about how lives can change forever by backyard fireworks that cause permanent injuries. According to the 2018 data, which was released that Dr. Denny referred to by the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission last week, an estimated 9,100 people were sent to the emergency room for treatment of firework-related injuries last year. 17% were admitted to the hospital. There were also 5 associated deaths due to fireworks. 2 of them were to teenagers, ages 16 and 18, in 2 separate incidents. An estimated 5,642 related injuries, or 62% of people treated, occurred during the 1-month period surrounding the 4th of July holiday. Consumers should be aware that half of all fireworks injuries are to innocent bystanders, many of them children. Of the 9,100 fireworks-related injuries last year, 36% of those injuries were to children under the age of 15, for a total of about 3,275 children. For children 5 years of age and younger, sparklers accounted for 54% of the total estimated injuries for that specific age group. Fireworks laws vary from state to state, and sometimes within different counties. Unfortunately, states going the route of legalization have experienced dire consequences. For example, a study in Iowa that held a ban on consumer fireworks discharge for decades just legalized consumer discharge 2 summers ago. They conducted a study there, and it showed that backyard firework injuries increased by 163% over the previous 3-year average. In addition, before the fireworks ban was lifted in Iowa, 67% of Iowans thought that was a really great idea. After the ban was lifted, only 47% were in favor because of the destruction, the noise, the confusion, and the change to their neighborhoods that this brought. Prevent Blindness supports a total ban on backyard fireworks, including sparklers. As seemingly innocent as sparklers might sound, Dr. Denny certainly made the point they can cause great harm and damage, and unfortunately, we give them to little children thinking they're safe when you really think about giving a small child a stick burning at 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. It makes one take pause that how could that be safe? Now I will turn over to Chief Josh Hobbs from the State Fire Marshal's Fire and Explosion Investigation Bureau. Chief Hobbs.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Josh Hobbs, Chief of the State Fire Marshal's Fire and Explosion Investigations Bureau, so thank you for being with us here today. The 4th of July is a time for celebration for many of us. That includes attending fireworks displays. The best and safest way to enjoy the holiday is by attending a licensed professional exhibit. In Ohio, the only items that can be legally purchased by public and used in Ohio are designated as trick and novelty, which smoke, snap, snake, or sparkle, and these are easily remembered as the 4 S's. The law states anyone can purchase 1.4G fireworks from a licensed wholesaler or manufacturer. However, they must transport them out of state within 48 hours. 1.4G fireworks, including firecrackers and bottle rockets, may not be legally discharged within Ohio by anyone other than a licensed exhibitor. I want to stress that there is no such thing as a backyard fireworks permit. Violating this law could result in a first-degree misdemeanor, which is punishable by up to $1,000 fine or 6 months in jail. Federal law also prohibits explosive devices like M80s and M100s. So leave fireworks displays to professionals. Local, state, and federal investigators say that some of the major causes of injuries are due to delayed or early fireworks explosions, errant flight paths of rockets, debris from aerial fireworks, and the general mishandling of sparklers. So on behalf of the State Fire Marshal's Office, I want to thank you for all being here today, and please have a safe and fun 4th of July.
Thank you, Chief Hobbs. Unfortunately, there have already been some very serious consequences due to backyard fireworks affecting Ohioans this year. On the evening of March 19th of this year, 12-year-old Caleb Bogan and his 10-year-old friend were riding bikes near an alley in a populated off-campus area near Miami University when they noticed an object that they described as shiny and silver in color. Caleb picked up the object and lit it. It blew up his hand. The explosion cost him his entire left hand, the index finger of his right, part of his chin, and several teeth. He is slowly recovering, but he is very scared that he's not going to be able to do things that the other kids do, like ride his bike. He will not be able to attend school until this coming fall, so he's missed quite a bit of school as well. Oxford police said that what Caleb found was similar to a detonated pyrotechnic or firework, similar to one called an aerial salute, which is a backyard firework. As you can imagine, what happened to Caleb turned his family's world upside down and will change lives forever. And I also heard about a report of a individual, a 65-year-old man in Toledo last evening that detonated a mortar and it blew up in his face. Several children were watching and he died. So already we've had, some very serious accidents in Ohio, and unfortunately more are probably coming. So we want to get the word out to make sure folks celebrate safely. In closing, our message to the public is simple. Fireworks are extremely dangerous. Do not purchase, use, or store fireworks or sparklers of any type. Protect your family and your friends by avoiding fireworks and sparklers, and attend only authorized public firework displays conducted by licensed operators, but be aware even professional displays can be dangerous, and observe all the safety rules. Protect yourself, your family, and your friends by avoiding backyard fireworks. I want to thank everybody for your attendance, and now I'd like all the speakers to join me at the podium as we open the floor to questions for our speakers. Are there any questions?
President Williams, can you give a brief update on proposed laws related to fireworks such as Senate Bill 72 and where your organization stands on those?
Yeah, there are currently 2 companion bills at in the General Assembly. One is Senate Bill 72, and the other is House Bill 253. And both of them cite the same restrictions being lifted. One of the restrictions that would be lifted is the restriction on the ban of consumer discharge of the larger 1.4G or consumer fireworks. Now in the state of Ohio, as Chief Hobbs has indicated, novelties are legal to buy and also to discharge, and those are the snap, crackle, pop type novelties you can find in the dollar store and Kroger and so forth. The 1.4G fireworks are the type that can be sold in the licensed brick and mortar buildings that you see off and off freeways that can contain up to 500 grams of pyrotechnic charge. So they are the bigger fireworks, legal to buy but not to discharge. These bills would lift the ban on consumer discharge of these dangerous fireworks. The Ohio Fireworks Safety Coalition, of which Prevent Blindness is one of the members, is opposed to consumer discharge of fireworks and are working very hard to convince legislators and the general public to weigh in and to express their concern about the increase in injuries. And I think I point back to the study that I cited in Iowa. We can all say people still set them off now even though they're illegal to set off. Well, they were doing the same thing in Iowa when that ban was lifted and they became legal. Injuries increased by 167%. So that is something that very much concerns us.
John, just piggybacking on that question, do you think that Governor DeWine, given his focus on children's safety, would be willing to sign these bills if they reach his desk? Have you got any indication from the DeWine administration where they stand?
We do not have an indication from the DeWine administration at this point. We're fighting our battle now in the public domain and with those committees and those legislators in the State House and in both the Senate and the House. Certainly with the statistics you've heard that 36% of injuries are to children of the 9,100 this last year, and that's generally what we see on a year-to-year basis, is that between 35 and 40% are to children, and half are to innocent bystanders, both children and adults, people minding their own business. We would be hopeful that with the message that the DeWine administration and the support that he is sending toward children's programs, children's health, and children's safety, that this would be a bill that he would consider a veto of if it gets that far.
Beyond a complete ban, are there additional fireworks-related proposals that you think would be helpful to the state's residents?
There are many, many ways to make the use of backyard fireworks safer. At this point, the bills open up consumer firework discharge 365 days a year, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And it, in fact, would make Ohio's laws among the 4 most dangerous in the United States. 46 other states would have safer consumer fireworks laws than Ohio, and right now we're one of the 4 safest states. So certainly there are many, many models across the country where consumer fireworks discharge would be a much, much safer environment than the Ohio proposal.
So let's say someone's visiting their friend's house for a cookout. They're about to light up a box of these fireworks. Maybe it's just themselves, maybe they have kids. What do you suggest that person does?
Well, you heard in our position statement that we support a total ban on discharge, and certainly I would, been in this situation before. I've indicated to the purveyor of the fireworks show that it's not legal in Ohio to set off consumer fireworks, and that we will be leaving the premises, and we would encourage others to do so as well, because again, the folks setting off the fireworks have, their right to take the risk that they want to, but putting innocent bystanders in the line of an injury, a death perhaps, is certainly not something that we would support in any way.
Would you support greater enforcement of the existing, ban on, because people do light out these fireworks?
They do, and I guess I kind of look at comparing it to people that drive drunk. If we would lift the ban, people still drive drunk. So let's lift the ban on driving drunk. Let's make it legal. And then we wouldn't have to worry about enforcing it because it would be legal to do. It doesn't make it any safer. In terms of enforcement, that would certainly be the realm of Chief Hobbs, and he may want to respond to enforcement issues.
We currently, obviously, enforce the laws that are on the books. It would be rather overwhelming to obviously to try to enforce that even more without any further resources. But I do think that it does happen. But we, like you mentioned earlier, what you just mentioned earlier is against the law. Plain and simple, what the question that happens. So we get complaints like that every day during this time of year, and so that's what we pass back to local law enforcement. That's against the law, and they should enforce the laws that are on the books.
Chief, could you go to the mic? I had a question about enforcement. I mean, you say it'd be overwhelming to enforce without more resources.
Yeah.
I mean, given what I hear in neighborhoods all across Ohio during this time, people are lighting off a lot, right? So when is the last time anybody has actually been prosecuted in Ohio in any jurisdiction for lighting off firecrackers?
We defer a lot of that to local law enforcement
Yeah,
because
but does it happen? I mean,
what happens at the local level, I don't know. I know that we get those calls through our dispatch center constantly. So we actually defer those at that level because it's during this time of year it's constant. So we defer that to locals because there's so much of it.
Fireworks are illegal to set off. I mean, when did we ever, at some point, when did we decide to allow the sales of these fireworks? I mean, to me, it just sounds ridiculous. You can sell them and buy them in the state legally, and just on the promise that, oh, I'm not going to set them off here in the state, which I can't imagine that many of them are actually taken out of state and used.
Right. We just enforce the laws that are on the books. We really maintain a neutral stance on that, but we do enforce the laws on the books, and we obviously stay very busy this time of year as it is.
But, ma'am, do you know, is anyone, are there any lawmakers talking about that point? I mean, I know they want to.
Oh, yes, and it sounds silly. In 1983, there was a ban on sale and on discharge. The fireworks industry approached the safety people for a compromise because they were interested in making sale and discharge legal, and the compromise that was made in 1983 was that sale would be allowed, but discharge would not be allowed. And since that point in time, 1983, there has been, every 2 or 3 years, a attempt by the industry and a few members of the public, but mainly it's the fireworks industry. That is a pretty big industry in Ohio, wanting to, of course, expand their market and to, do what they're free to do, and that is to increase their business. So that's the history of the silliness of, the why you can buy but you can't discharge. It was a compromise that was made by the industry with the safety and medical and health insurance professionals and groups.
Is the state fire marshal's office going to testify against these bills or be an interested party?
Do you want to speak to that, or we maintain a neutral?
We're just maintaining a neutral stance on this, where we're monitoring the legislation as it moves through, internally, but we're just here to enforce the laws as they stand, and we'll go from there. We're maintaining a neutral stance now, and we're monitoring the legislation as it moves through.
What we do this time of year is we look at the imminent threat of public safety from our agency. So we're tackling things like the illegal wholesale, people selling to young children, as she mentioned in Oxford, people getting up their hands on stuff. So illegal transactions, things like that. So we triage some of the complaints that come in and try to get those out of the hands of children and people like that are buying them on the black market on the street. So the backyard displays we don't, dealing with those get deferred to the local law enforcement agencies.
The Consumer Product Safety Commission has recalled several fireworks recently. Can you comment on what the regulation is around fireworks and whether or not it's safe for people to buy them?
And one of the sort of breathtaking statistics from the Consumer Product Safety Commission report this year was that 67% of the fireworks tested at port by the consumer, and it's a small sample, but it's what they have the funds to do, 67% did not pass, mainly because of being packed too full of explosive or the wick being too short, so not allowing folks to run and take cover. That 67% was up from about 37% the year before. So when you look at the fact that 98.9% of fireworks are imported from China, they're not manufactured here, they're imported, and that 67% of the sample turned out to not be in compliance. These are dangerous devices, no matter how trained you might be or not, and certainly consumer fireworks discharge put these in the hands of consumers who are obviously not trained at all. Any other questions? Well, our speakers will be available for other slide interviews and so forth. Our posters are available for photographing, and we thank all of you for your interest, and please celebrate a happy and safe 4th of July. Thank you for being here.